What's good, people? And we are live. It's your man DL Saint. This is the DL Saint I Really Want to Know podcast. Happy Thursday to y'all. And so yeah, y'all know I'm a retired air traffic controller. Me and Jay Swans, my homie, you know what I mean, my dude, my jump buddy. We he was telling me that there's a hire coming up. So definitely wanted to take the opportunity to let people know, especially young folks out there, of this amazing opportunity to get into a very challenging and worthwhile career. So without further ado, here he is live and direct. My man Jay Swans. What's good, brother? What's good?
Always good, bro. Always good, man. And thank you for the adult applause. Like I said, the kitty one makes me uncomfortable. Thank you again.
I had to get you. I know it makes you uncomfortable, so we're gonna keep hearing that one.
Only kids I like were the ones that came from me. The rest of them, I can't stand them.
Hilarious. Hilarious, man. So yeah, man, people are always asking me like, yo, what t-shirt are you wearing? So today I'm wearing Speedy Gonzalez. You can see that. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. So we got Speedy Gonzalez.
Man, I'm wearing my shirt. It's hard to be a trophy husband.
Hilarious. So, and I love Speedy Gonzalez, man. That was one of my favorite cartoon characters. But the reason I'm wearing Speedy is because they don't make Slowpoke Rodriguez
I know, huh?
T-shirts. And like Speedy Gonzalez, for those who don't know, for all you young folks out there, Speedy Gonzalez, his thing was he's the fastest mouse in all of Mexico, right? That's his thing. Slowpoke Rodriguez is the slowest mouse in all of Mexico. And Sylvester the cat, yeah.
I'm Slowpoke Rodriguez.
Slowpoke Rodriguez.
Mad racist right now, though. You know.
Hey, man, it is what it is. It's not racist. To my essays out there in Cali, man. To them, it ain't racist at all because that's the nickname: Slowpoke, Speedy, Termite, Cockroach.
Pepe Le Pew is a rapist.
Yeah, Pepe Le Pew got canceled. You can't say that word.
You can't say that word. Yo, Pepe Le Pew
word.
He's aggressive.
Pepe Le Pew got canceled. So, but Slowpoke Rodriguez, man. So like Sylvester the cat ran running off a Slowpoke, and he caught up with him, and there's another cat running behind him, like, wait, I got something else to tell you. And then he grabbed Slowpoke, and the Slowpoke pulled out his pistol and busted Sylvester in the face with it. And the other guy came up and said, "Yeah, I forgot to tell you, Slowpoke Rodriguez carries a gun." That was like my favorite thing. And here's the thing: we were kids watching this. No one went and got their daddy's pistol and did that. So people try to they say, violent cartoons are why people are violent. No, it's not. No, it's not. I have yet to see a cartoon as violent as any movie I've ever seen out there.
Brother, the Road Runner. I have yet to see anybody get some dynamite and try to blow somebody up on the side of the road.
For real. Wile E. Coyote was getting Amazon before Amazon was a thing. And we jumping off. What's good, Brother Doug's in the house? What's good? Welcome. Miss AKA lady is in the house. Hey. What's up? Hey. I got to put the right emphasis on there. Hey. You know what I mean? What's up? Glad y'all here. So what we're about to talk about is real important, y'all, for real. All jokes aside, this is something that I know for a fact that Jay Swans, this is near and dear to him, and definitely near and dear to me, because this career changed my life. Like, I don't know how much it changed this brother over here, because he was destined for greatness anyway, just asking. But
this is true.
But this just changed my life. What's good, little sister? We got Queen Naya in the house checking it out. So air traffic. Yeah, it's right. Get your brownie points in, boy. Get your brownie points in. So, as you know, I'm a retired air traffic controller. I did it for a little over 25 years. Jay Swans was not only an air traffic controller, but he was an air traffic control manager. He was like a manager, like he was working his way up in management, doing really big things. So he told me that there is an upcoming hire. And there's a lot of things that people don't know about air traffic controllers. First of all, air traffic controllers are not the guys with the ladies and men with the flashlights on the ramp. That's not air traffic control. Air traffic controllers, like what, so people are always asking me, well, what does an air traffic controller do? What are their responsibilities, right? So the according to our 7110.65, which is the Bible for air traffic control, it is the text in which everything is covered.
Big.
Oh yeah, it's big.
It's big old. Yeah.
It's huge, and it's commonly referred to as the Bible and air
Written by
traffic
lawyers.
Bible. Written by a whole bunch of lawyers. Every
Yeah.
rule in there has been written and modified by attorneys because things have gone wrong. So 2-1-1 talks about the purpose of air traffic control and the mission. And air traffic control is there's the safe, orderly, expeditious
flow of
air traffic. And number one responsibility is to prevent collisions in the system. That's real important. Prevent collisions. That's the job of an air traffic controller. You hear all these other things out there about what air traffic controllers do. Their primary function, their mission, is to prevent collisions within the air traffic system, the National Airspace System.
I like how you're using all those big, nice, pretty words. Look, we don't let planes crash. There you go. We keep planes from crashing as much as possible.
So that's what air traffic control does. And, you know, so people are like, oh, is it a lot of stress? Yes, absolutely. A ton. A ton. Is it a lot of stress? Bad. Yeah, okay. It's one of the highest. Bad. It's always in the top 5 most stressful jobs you can have consistently, and it deserves to be there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean, it's stressful, but, you know, it's rewarding because you get to actually see the work. You get to actually see your work getting done. You know, you get to see your stuff from the beginning to the end. You know, so I mean, it's stressful because you watch it. It's stressful because the people you work with all have the same type of personality. But the job itself, I mean, it's a lot of fun. It really is. I hate when people say stuff is like a video game, but it is a lot like a video game, except for you only get one player. You know what I mean? But
you're not the one, and you're not the one that pays the cost. All right, you say it's a video game, but you're not the one that pays the cost, right?
Yeah,
it's someone else out there.
Come on, real talk. It ain't that bad. Come on, man. Like it ain't like in the movie Airplane where they up there smoking and sniffing glue and all that stuff. Hey, it ain't like that though.
Yeah, you weren't at Van Nuys. You weren't at Van Nuys during the 90s, bro.
Hell no.
It was rough. It was rough.
Hell no.
It was, anybody in aviation would tell you, anybody in the air traffic control business would tell you, they got whatever they want to say about the Van Nuys Airport and what's going on out there in the San Fernando Valley. That is one of the roughest assignments I've ever had. When people said I got paid too much, like, no, I didn't get paid enough. We were absolutely in the trenches. That was Stalingrad, bro. That was it. That was Leningrad. That was it right there. That was it. That was Omaha Beach, bro. I'm trying to tell you, like, when it got bad, it got bad. But I'm just saying, I was there. It was a lot of sweat. I had hair when I started, y'all. I'm just trying to say, man, I had hair.
That's a damn lie. That's a damn lie. Now, I mean, I tell people it's look, it's a rewarding job, it's a high-paying job, and you get paid for what you know. You get paid for handling when everything is great and everything's perfect and everything's flowing, you know, it's a lot of fun, you know, but you earn your money when something goes wrong. And that's real talk. I mean, that's when you earn your money.
Absolutely. You know? Would I do it all over again? Yes. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I would do it all over again. People out there, they talk about job satisfaction and job security. They talk about stuff like that. They want to feel like they're doing something useful. They want to feel that their career matters. In air traffic control, every single day, I knew what I was doing mattered. I had people come up to me constantly. To this day, people will, if they find out who I am and where I work, they'd come right up to me and shake my hand. I've seen that to this day. Oh, wait, that's Don Lewis. I've seen people walk across the airport to come shake my hand because it was earned. I was really good at what I did. Took a lot of pride in that. And I saved a lot of lives. I'm gonna keep it 100. I saved a lot of lives. You know what I mean? It is what it is. I've seen both sides of it. But I would absolutely do it again. What about you, Jay Swans?
Definitely. I mean, you know, I wanted to do that my whole life. You know, I watched my dad do it. You know, I mean, I grew up around it. So, you know, I loved it. I really did. It's a lot of fun. It's definitely rewarding. Like I said, you can see, you know, this is one of those careers where you can actually see the fruits of your labor. You know, you can actually
instantly. Instantly.
You know, it's definitely a lot of fun. You know, people are, I personally, I think they're overly impressed by it. I really do. You know, I try to shy away from it a lot, but you do get people talking about, oh my God, oh, it's so stressful. I can't believe you did it all. Wow, you were amazing. You're super smart, you know, all this other stuff. And it's like, Don always says I downplay a lot of stuff, but I don't, air traffic controllers are no smarter than anybody else. Okay. It's all about, it's a personality type. Everybody talks about that alpha personality. You definitely have to be an alpha because you have to believe that everything you're doing is right, which working in a small environment with a bunch of people who think that everything they do is right, you talk about stressful.
That can be a little problematic. And when we talk about the stress, it's not just keeping the planes separated. It's like you just said, dealing with these different personalities. One of the things when we would have to train young air traffic controllers, and one of the things I would tell my trainees, when you climb up into that glass bubble, if you're in the tower, when you walk onto that control floor, if you're in the TRACON, you have to get into character. You have to be a version of yourself. You can't be you. If you're a little mousy person in real life, nah. If you're one of those people to go with the flow in real life, nah. You have to be A-type aggressive. You are telling people what to do. That is what you get paid to do. Turn left heading, climb and maintain, descend and maintain. Right, to clear for takeoff. You gotta say it like you mean it. You cannot you cannot sound like you're unsure. So, and that's part of it.
Well, I'm thinking about when you be training them people and they get to like, hey, turn right, heading, and it's like, nah. You're dealing with people. You're dealing with people who have a lot of money and maybe not a lot of brains, so they need to be babysat. And I actually had a pilot tell me that he's been flying longer than I've been pissing in a pot.
He's probably right.
Yeah, he crashed right after that. So you gotta be forceful with that. But hey, you gotta explain the different types of air traffic though. You want to do that? You want to move to us?
No, we'll get into that at a later date. It really doesn't matter what area of air traffic you get into.
Well, no,
the key is this: getting into it. Once you're in, you can move around. But if you don't take the steps to get in, you got a problem. Right off rip, let's talk about the age requirement. Can anyone apply to be an air traffic controller, brother?
Almost anyone under the age of 31.
Under the age of 31. So let's start there. If you're 31 or over, is it 31 and a half or was it 30 and a half? I can't remember.
No, once you turn 31, bro, it's a wrap.
If you're 31 years old at the time that you begin your career in air traffic control, you can't do it. That's a cutoff. And the reason for that being is an air traffic controller has mandatory retirement at age 56.
Yeah. Well, that's the official reason.
That's the official.
Yeah.
So if you're 31 years, I'm sorry that you've missed the cutoff. You've missed it. But if you're 30, continue watching this video. If you're 30. And that's, again, that's done for a reason. Now, let's continue. Let's catch up on this chat real quick. Colonel Sanders, what's good, brother? He's like, yo, I heard the 90s was wild. Yes, I got there in 98. The late 90s and early 2000s in Van Nuys, California were crazy. I'm glad I was a part of it. You know what I mean? It definitely helped me grow as an individual and as an air traffic controller. Don 007, isn't that job a young man's game? Yeah, because you can't be over 31. So yeah.
I think it ain't that. Because there's a lot of cats. It takes a long time to get experience. So I don't think it's a young man's game. I think you start as a young man, but it takes a while to get some real experience though.
Yeah, as a young man. Oh, go ahead, bro.
I'll say every situation is different, so it takes a while. It's a young man's game in the sense of you got to start young, but it takes. I feel personally it takes a good 5 to 6 years before you really become a journeyman at that trade. At least 5 at your airport, not 5 and 6 years starting, but 5 and 6 years at your airport after you've completed training before you become a real journeyman. There's a lot of guys that, they get through training and they think as soon as they finish training that, that they're masters of their craft, and it's not, because you haven't seen everything that can happen and you'd be surprised.
25 years of some change. And my last day, I learned something. So, it's just it's never the same situation. It's never. There is an infinite amount of variables that change moment to moment in that field. It's crazy. Well, it's crazy.
Yeah, you have weather, you have aircraft performance characteristics, you have personalities you're dealing with. It's crazy. It's just so much. That's why I think it takes so long after you complete training, to become a journeyman. It's like I said, I guess it is difficult. I guess it can be stressful in that sense if you think about everything that can happen. But, you shouldn't do that every day. You'll drive yourself crazy. You go balls.
You just come in, you deal with it. You rely on your training, but it's very stressful. Miss A.K. Ale, what part of controlling the flow of air traffic is the most stressful.
Walking up in the tower.
Yeah, that's the most. Getting out the car. Getting out the car.
For real. Looking out the window and seeing like, oh, damn.
Getting out the car. The one thing you don't want to see if you're like a radar controller is weather, or read a report for the area that you're going to be controlling. Is weather. Shout out to those Miami controllers down there, Miami Tracom, Miami Tower. Boy, oh boy, this time of year, every day is the worst day to be in air traffic controller.
In Texas, in the Midwest, boy.
God. Texas, Midwest, Atlanta, the people in Chicago, people in New York. I mean, dude, I'm telling you, LAX. I mean, it's so many variables every day.
And you think we're joking. Like I said, I would hate, driving up to the tower and seeing weather come in, or seeing like a beehive going on. Beehive, planes just flying everywhere, all over the place. And, here we go, and, but once you're in there and you're working, it's almost this weird, it just kind of falls into place. I don't know how to describe it. Like, I guess it's kind of like, I want to say jumping out of a plane, once you're out the plane, you're there, you know what to do.
It's all about gravity at that point.
Yeah. I'm trying to think how to describe it to somebody, like, okay, driving to work, you read that the freeway's a mess and this and that. And, it's like, here we go. Got to get on the freeway. Got to get in the car. Got to go. And once you're in it, you're kind of in it. That's the only way to describe it. But for me, like I said, the most stressful part for me was just, was walking in the tower. Like, here we go. Another day.
Now, like the radar guys hated seeing weather. Bad weather meant they're going to work really hard. The tower guys, the complete opposite. When there's a beautiful day, not a cloud in the sky, it's going to be a problem because everybody is going to go flying. So that's going to keep you.
Marginal. I hated marginal weather. I didn't mind clearing 22. I hated marginal weather because then you got them guys that were like, it looks good. I could do it. The ones that shouldn't be flying. The ones that think they know more than they know. Those guys that have those high performance aircrafts, but they got more money than brains. So they go out and buy themselves a high performance aircraft, but they learn how to fly on a single engine, nothing.
Yeah.
I just hate it when it's marginal.
That didn't bother me.
Really, because marginal changed things. Like you had special VFR, you had IFR coming in.
We don't want to get into the weeds on that, but basically what he's saying, like marginal weather, like is kind of bad is getting good, or it's kind of good is getting bad. And he's correct. People will go out and think they could, this isn't that bad, I'm going to go fly. Yeah. The good pilots, nah, I ain't doing it. So on a marginal day, it wasn't as many airplanes in the sky. A beautiful day, that's when you're going to max out on just people flying. And that, to me, that was the worst. The marginal days I could deal with. You're going to get a knucklehead. And those are the days you make your money. You're going to save a lot of lives because those guys get out there, they get themselves in trouble. And it's your voice that keeps them alive, right? Those days aren't that difficult. They can be. It still is stressful. There's a lot of stress involved. But when you're just talking sheer volume of the number of airplanes in the sky, clear blue day, I would think about not coming to work some days. Like, yo, I'm not 100%. I don't know if I should go in there.
Well, my first airport, we had those intersecting runways, and clear days didn't bother me until, they wanted to do that whole intersecting runway operations where planes basically, intersecting runways are like X's. Okay. They intersect. And there's days where, we'd be busy and you get that one pilot that says, hey, I want to use this other runway. We're using one part of the X, but he wants to use this part of it. And then, you let him do it. And then you get about 10 other guys that want to do the same thing. So you're running figure eights, and that. And
that's like, and again, we're gonna struggle hard not to get into that's a more advanced stuff. But basically you let one person do something. It's like when you got kids. You let one of the kids, you can have some ice cream. Everybody wants ice cream.
Give them an inch, boy.
And it's like, oh, why did I do that? And the controllers who were mean, they would do that right before they knew they were getting a break. So the next controller has to deal with the repercussions of what he just did. So anyway, with all that said, still the best career I've ever had. So yeah, the most stressful times where it depends on what kind of controller you are and where you're working, but there are different reasons, Miss AKA lady, for different stress. Act Eyes is in the house, up fam. Thanks for showing. Thanks for the love, Miss AKA lady. I mentor high schoolers. What direction should high schoolers take? Hey, air traffic. I'm not gonna lie to you. If I'm coming out of high school, before I get into a whole bunch of student loan debt, going to a college, learning how to, make wicker baskets or whatever they're teaching these days, I would absolutely look into a government position.
Well, I think what she's asking more is like, what type of classes, what curriculum should they look at? And if that's the case, I mean, it really doesn't matter. I mean, it's a personality thing. It's a thought process thing. It's how you think. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you really can't teach. I mean, if they're interested in avionics or that kind of thing, I mean, that helps. But there's a lot of stuff that it's just, that when they test you for your hire, they look for a certain personality type. They look for your ability to kind of think in 3 dimensions, and that's important. Understanding, dimensions, being able to work with people. I would tell high school students to work on, getting themselves involved in a team environment, talking. They have to learn to speak, and speak up and speak with authority. I personally would look for kids involved in team sports. I would try to get them involved in team sports or some kind of clubs, like, I don't know, the chess club would be fine. Just something where you have to work with a team of people in order to get things done. Learn leadership skills, management skills, because those are the type of things they look for when they look at your resumes. They look for management, leadership type of things. So if that's what you mean by a direction, that's the direction I would have high school students go
in. And I will go a different route. I would say have them join the United States military. I would take the ASVAB, see how you score, see what they offer you if you can get some in aviation, because I got in because I was an air traffic controller in the Army.
We both did.
I would do that before I go to a university that specializes in aviation. I would, because you don't need a college degree for this field. I want to be clear on that. You do not need a college degree in this field. And those, I've worked with so many controllers over the years who are in $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 and up in student loan debt to become an air traffic controller because someone told them it was going to help them. It does not help. It doesn't. It doesn't hurt, but it doesn't help. You don't need it. Everything that Jay Swans just said is your ability to think, your ability to work under pressure, your ability to work within the team environment, your ability to retain certain amounts of information, your ability to adjust quickly to any given situation. Those are all intangibles. I don't know where you learn that outside of sports, outside of the military, outside of maybe chess. Chess players, they that they'll think far ahead. Yeah. The ability to do that, to think 4, 5, 6 moves ahead, will absolutely help you in air traffic control.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's air traffic controllers that struggle with that. It's surprising. Critical thinking, critical thinking skills. Yes.
Which is not taught in school anymore. So Miss AKA lady, if you got like a little special group and y'all work on critical thinking skills, that alone will get you there and you will go far with that. Act Ozzy, a lot of professions require 5 minimum, probably I think you mean 5-year minimum to be considered a pro. Yes. And it just
AKA, I mean, what's Ozzy do know that and every time you go to a new airport, you're learning again, you're training again. So that 5 years
and break that down from, so what he's talking about, like I worked at Van Nuys Airport. Let's say I'm at Van Nuys Airport for 15 years and I decide I want to go to LAX. It doesn't matter. My 15 years at Van Nuys is cool because I know certain things that they don't have to reteach me when I get to LAX. But the way things move at LAX is completely different. The pace of the game completely different. It's like going from high school football to college football to pro football. The speed of the game changes, and it's the same thing in air traffic control. Would you agree with that one?
Oh, you asking me? Oh,
yeah.
I'm up here looking around like,
yeah,
yeah, most definitely. I mean, most definitely. It's and the play sets are going to be different. The players are going to be different. Yeah, it's a whole different. So that 5 years that you got to become super proficient at your job at one airport, you're now, you're going to a new airport. You're now a rookie again.
Right.
You know what I mean?
New airport.
They'll treat you like a rookie again.
Yeah. And we're talking apples to apples here. We're not talking about going to a different facet of air traffic control.
Yeah, because when I mentioned that, I wish you would have had a couple of airports you could bring up and show. But when I mentioned that intersecting runway thing, you go to you go to San Francisco or LAX, and you got instead of having this, you may have 4 runways like this, or you go to somewhere like Phoenix, you'll have 3 runways, you'll have 2 that are that's funny, that are like parallel like this, and then you'll have another one over here. So I mean, all that stuff is different. Then you have taxiways, which are how the planes move around on the ground, and all that stuff is all over the place. and you have to be an expert on all those configurations. The configurations at your airport. So I mean, it's a whole lot that goes on. So it's not a career to be taken lightly. It's not a game. Like we sit here and we laugh and joke all the time, but when we're at work, we're different characters.
Absolutely, and that's a good point. Like so, and again, when we talk about retention, like Jay Swans is talking about taxiways, was an air traffic controller. Some taxiways have weight restrictions for aircraft. So you might be somewhere where there's one taxiway out of 50 that if an airplane is over X amount of pounds, it'll sink into the taxiway. And it's your job to know that. So if you put the wrong airplane on that taxiway and it sinks into the taxiway, you're in trouble because they can't get that airplane out of there. Yeah. So this is all a part about being an air traffic controller. And we would say that like things change every day, right? So you might come to work one day and they may tell you, you can't use 5 taxiways today. 5 of them are closed for repair. We're doing this, that, and the third. Those are my most important taxiways. I use them every day. You can't use them today. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but you still got to get the job done.
Or a runway has now become a taxiway.
Runway is a taxiway. Runway is closed, right? Airspace is closed. Oh, the president's coming to town. Okay. There it is right there, Miss AK lady. The worst day to go to work was in a presidential movement. The absolute worst day to go to work.
Any VIP movement.
Any VIP movement. Absolute worst day to go to work. So anyway, but that's what we mean about all this kind of stuff. Perfect question from Miss AK lady. Do you need anything outside of a high school diploma? Absolutely not. High school diploma or an equivalent to get in to air traffic control. And correct me if I'm wrong,
educational wise, high school diploma will get you in, educational wise, but there's a lot of testing that goes in, along with that. So it's not just, you graduate high school, you put your resume in and, it's all good. You just wait to get hired. No, there's a testing process that goes along with that.
So let's get into that. Right. So look at that, man. We're almost 30 minutes in and we've just been talking crazy. I haven't talked about anything as far as the process to get in. So
that's because you be talking too much.
I know, man. That's part of the thing, man. Whatever, man. I mean, better be glad I need you on this show. Otherwise, I'd have been deleted your butt.
Where's the off button?
Yeah, like where's the off button? So, the FAA and the reason, and Miss AK lady, the reason why you don't need any formal education prior to is because the FAA is going to train you on how to be an air traffic controller for them. Mind you, there are other private air traffic control entities that you could work for if you have these qualifications. So once you get this, for instance, there are a lot of air traffic controllers like me who are retired that are working as private contractors at certain air traffic facilities that aren't under the FAA. And there are places in the world that you can go. You can go to Canada, you can go to Germany, you can go to Dubai and work as a contractor. The military hires contractors. So there are a ton of places where you can go and be valuable with this the skill set. Now let's be clear, this is a skill set. And the FAA will train you off the street. So you just have to be a U.S. citizen or naturalized citizen, correct?
I believe so, yeah.
U.S. citizen, naturalized citizen. You can't be over 31. You can't have any felonies. That's correct, right?
Yeah, no felonies. I mean, there's a whole list. Like, you'd have to actually put that list up there. I mean, there's medical requirements, and there's a whole list of stuff.
And I'm not sure if I had that loaded. I know we got a bunch of other stuff loaded, but I didn't see that one. But
the process. I mean, the process is like, okay, you got a high school diploma now, and you want to be an air traffic controller. All right, so you apply. You get your resume together. You go on to USA Jobs. Oh, and a side note. When you do your resume, don't upload your resume. Actually do the resume in USA Jobs because you don't want to miss something. If you miss one box or you miss one thing on your resume, they'll delete you out. They'll kick you out of the system. So, and you won't even know it, so don't, but that's a side note thing. But there's a process. So, you do your resume, they'll test you. Like if they like your resume, and there's an algorithm, there's certain things they look for in your resume. If they like your resume, they'll test you right away. Okay. And then they'll come back and let's say you pass that test. Then they're going to come back and test you again. All right. And then you get through that test. Then let's say you get through all those tests, you get an interview. The interview is kind of a formality at that point because there's only like 17,000 air traffic controllers. I mean, it's definitely this weird skill set that these weird type of people they're looking for. After you complete those tests, they send you to Oklahoma City, where the FAA Air Traffic Academy is. They call it the FAA Academy. I forgot what the real name for it is, but it's the FAA. It's where they do all their training at, and and it's basically a college campus. I think you got a video on that, but it's a college campus. And you go to class every day. They give you money so that you can get yourself an apartment off the campus. All the apartment people in that area, they know that they know how much money you're getting per diem and that sort of stuff. So you have those. So you're set up there. Once you're at the academy, you're set up, and then you're at the academy training, and your training's anywhere from, I believe, 3 to 6 months now. I believe that. And I know when we started, the military people did not go to the academy. People coming out of the military didn't go to the academy because you received training in the military. But people that, went to college to get their college degree in air traffic control, and those people, they actually went to the academy. People that had no experience, they went to the academy. And, I spent some time there because I had to retrain to a different career field within air traffic. And, it's a lot of fun. It's serious, though. Like classroom time, it's no joke. And you're in class 8 hours a day. So it's a whole process. So that's why you can go in there and you can get this job with a high school diploma. Because even with your high school diploma, you're going to be training so long and taking so many classes that I don't know why they just don't throw a degree at you when you're done. Because between the academy and then when you go, once you graduate the academy, you go to your facility. So let's say like Don went to Van Nuys. So he didn't have to go to the academy the first time because of military training, but he went to his facility and he had to train at his facility. So the people that go to the academy, they spend 3 to 6 months there. Then they go to their airport and they train for X amount of time at that airport. And your length of time depends on your skill set and the complexity of the facility. So, I mean, you spend a lot of time.
It's basically on the job training. So what we're going to focus on is the initial training and what to expect in the first step. Now, what Jay Swan says is absolutely correct. Once you complete the academy, if you successfully complete the academy, you get assigned to a facility. Now, once you get there, you still have to train. There's another process, which we would have to get into because that's 3 hours on its own just talking about that. So, and a lot of people, the people that I know that have had trouble with the FAA Academy, Air Traffic Academy, are those people who are expecting a university or college style environment. It's not like that. It's closer to a military / law enforcement environment, or I would imagine maybe even like in the financial world when you have these high stress programs. It's closer to that. You go in, you take a test. If you fail, you get a retest, one. And if you fail that, see you. That's done. There's none of this, I know how to get cool with the instructor or I'm cool with the professor and I get extra credit. It's none of that.
Yeah, right? All the tests are, nothing subjective. It's all, it's either A. The answer is either A or it's B. There's nothing subjective. Now, now the process may have changed now as far as like the academy, the way they're doing their instruction. But I still, but you might be still right about the whole, you might get, if you're lucky, you might get 2 tests out of it. You might get to take that test, 2 or 3 times before they say, okay, enough is enough. But it's definitely.
And that gets into something else we don't want to. Yeah, that gets into something else we don't want to delve into. That gets into the politics behind. Of course, there's always going to be politics behind stuff. But generally speaking, it's a go or no go platform. Yeah. It's not like college, right? Again, for those who served in the military, it's more like that. It's like we train you up, you take the test, you pass. You don't pass the test, you get 1 retest. You fail that, you're gone. So, Miss AK lady, very good tip about the resume. I wonder if there are testing manuals to prepare for the test. There may be. I don't know. Don't quote me on that.
There's some, but
it's not a common thing.
The way the tests are designed, you really can't study for them. Well, okay. The actual air traffic control tests, there's ways to study for it. I mean, you're not going to get the exact answers, but you'll have an idea what's on the test. So there's a manual for that. There's videos for that. The initial test just to get to that second test, no, it's more about, it's just they're trying to see what type of mindset you have. And I've seen people that have passed that test that I didn't think they would. There was no way they're going to pass that. And I've seen people that, that I knew were going to make that test and they failed it. So it's just a mindset thing.
And in an attempt to make it a little clearer, right? So the air traffic control entry exam, let's say, that's one thing. What Jay Swans is talking about, what they're doing now, is an assessment. They'll give you their version of an assessment that, to my knowledge, has nothing to do with air traffic. They're trying to determine something else that they've gone with, some sort of metrics that they're looking for, and that's this assessment. So you will see some people who, like, this guy's dumb as a box of rocks, but he'll ace the assessment. So because of whatever qualities they're looking for, he seems to have them. Yeah. So there's that like some sort of like the ASVAB kind of. So there's kind of like this assessment, and then you pass that. Now you can prepare yourself for this air traffic control entrance exam.
It's weird. Like that assessment, they'll ask questions like, I don't know, which do you prefer? Red flowers or blue flowers? I mean, I have no idea what they're looking for. Yeah.
We're going to have to find somebody deep into the FAA that's retired and willing to talk about this assessment, because the people I talk to are even afraid to talk about it because
people were losing their jobs behind giving out information about that assessment. So it's hard to get information about that.
It's hard to get information, but I'm going to try to get that for y'all. But before you even get to any of that, you have to apply on usajobs.gov. And Jay Swan sent me a video. We're just going to play it for you real quick. Bits and pieces of it's a pretty long video. I don't know. We're gonna play it a little bit, and then I'm probably gonna stop it. This is the how to apply for a federal job.
Oh man, that's gonna be a long video, man. I mean, go ahead.
We'll play just a little bit of it, and kind of skip around. But the thing is this: this is a government job. People live and die on crossed T's and dotted I's. If you don't do it the way they want it done, they kick it out of the system, and they will not tell you.
Yeah, it'll just be gone. I know lots of people that they had no idea that it happened to them. They're supposed to send you an email, but it's a program.
And it's a program owned by the government, so it's not the best program.
Yeah, seriously, lowest bidder.
Everything the government does, they go to the lowest bidder, and you get what you pay for generally. Keep that in mind, people. So we'll play just a little bit, or. You sent me this video on becoming an air traffic controller. Did you want to play that one instead?
That's probably a better one. That's USA Jobs thing. Well, how about the one that says what is an air traffic controller? That's like 5 minutes long. Because the USA Job, that's a whole nother show, bro. And you'd have to bring some other people on there, because once you start messing around the USA Jobs, I mean, USA Jobs is not that difficult. It's just that if you make one mistake, you can blow everything.
You could blow everything, and we're definitely gonna get to that. And like I said, we're doing it live, y'all. So I apologize in advance if it seems a little off, but hey, it's a great career, but you have to fight to get it. That's the crazy thing about it.
It's a great career, and it's a high paying career. You know what I mean? And like I said before, 6 figures is like the norm in air traffic.
Absolutely.
I mean, you have people starting out at over $100,000 a year.
Absolutely. $100,000 plus. And that's base. We're not getting into overtime and all those other kind of stuff, other ways to make money.
Yeah, it's and that look, let's just say that's what it comes down to. I mean, it's a high paying career. It's, in my opinion, it's not that difficult. I've told people I could teach a monkey to do air traffic. The problem is you earn your money when something goes wrong. And that's where the thing is. But a lot of people are so afraid of. But yeah, the money's great. It's rewarding. I mean, I want to say the salary range now is, I want to say it's like from the low 90s up to about 100. Well, the base salary is from probably the low 90s up to 182, whatever the government max is. Are you just going to just throw the video on talking?
My bad, bro.
Whatever your salary, so let's say you start out at $100,000 a year. Your actual pay for that year is probably going to be around 120 to 125, because you can add 20 to 25% to your base salary.
Which includes differential pays and all sorts of stuff. At the very end of this video, we'll talk about what to expect once you're done all of the training, a day in the life of an air traffic controller. We'll talk about work schedules, how that works, time off, how you earn that, how that works, the union versus management, how that works. That'll be the very last thing we talk about. So we're gonna play this video real quick, a little bit of it. I think this comes from the FAA, so we'll see what happens. Yep, this comes from the FAA. This is how all FAA videos start.
Yeah.
This is air traffic control. Is it really?
In our busy skies, controlling each flight from departure to arrival is integral to maintaining our excellent safety record.
The flight is controlled by a controller from the time it pushes off the gate to the time it gets to its destination and parks at the gate and the doors open. The reason for that is for safety. There's so many airplanes in the air traffic system. They need to be separated and they need to be controlled.
It's a complex world. Simply clearing each flight from the gate to the runway may involve several steps.
The pilot will call for a clearance, either via electronic means or clearance delivery. He'll receive his...
All right, so you guys are going to hear a whole bunch of terms here. Air traffic controllers, they identify as air traffic controllers. It is their life. When they get into it, that is who they become. That is everything to them. So
yeah,
when they talk, this is how they talk in the real world. When they talk to other people, they kind of lose touch with the real world. The things that they're saying, well, we control everything. No, the pilot is in control of that aircraft. The pilot does not have to do what the air traffic controller instructs them to do. They don't have to. If an air traffic controller tells them to turn left and the pilot knows there's a mountain off his left, he's not going to turn left. He'll say, say again, verify your last instruction. And then the pilot, oh, correction, turn right. Okay. So if you ever bump into an air traffic controller, don't take everything they say with a grain of salt.
Yeah, they think they're more important than they really are.
Oh my God. Oh my, I had so much fun in my career beating them up.
But that goes back to, you got to believe your own BS.
You
right?
have to. You got
to believe it. And maybe that's the mindset they're looking for. You have to believe that you are an expert, because if you don't believe it, nobody else will. And you need those pilots you need them to believe that you know what you're talking about. Everybody is wrong occasionally. Occasionally you will make the wrong decision and they will correct you. If they catch it, they will correct you. But you have to believe that it's like being a surgeon, or a fighter pilot. You have to believe that what you're doing is the right thing.
Absolutely. And
that's why you hear these guys talk like that.
And I'm not trying to, to put these guys on blast. You're gonna see a lot of that in this video. You know what I mean? So I just want to let y'all know what's going on with that. I have fun with them. You know what I mean? But here's the thing: that the pilot of your aircraft is the person who is responsible for that aircraft. Bottom line, the buck stops with the captain of that aircraft. He does not have to do. But when things go bad, the air traffic controllers, we understand what's going on in that airspace. When 9/11 happened, those air traffic controllers, what they did was nothing short of amazing. It was a miracle to get all those airplanes on the ground as fast as they did.
That's we.
Yeah, because that
was off that day.
Yeah, I was off that day. But the thing is, when they made that happen, we were doing things. The system was used in a way that it was not designed to be used in order to get this done, because we were under attack. We had no idea what was going on. And that day, the air traffic controllers took over and did what needed to be done. The pilots bought in 100% because the pilots know that the air traffic controllers are there to help them do their job. So, but I just wanted to say that the pilots are the real who of people here. Air traffic controllers, we do a good job, but it's the pilots that's in charge.
His clearance from departure to destination. The airplane will then push off the gate and talk to the ground controller at Dulles, who will take him to the appropriate runway and put him where he needs to be, reference other aircraft, or in line for his sequence, reference weather or any other factors affecting that flight. The local controller will then take the aircraft, and he's the one that actually issues the takeoff clearance to the aircraft to get him airborne.
After a flight takes off, the tower controller tells the pilot to contact departure control, a part of another air traffic entity known as TRACON. TRACONs typically handle both departures and approaches for instrument flights within a designated area, which usually includes both large and small airports.
Once the air traffic control tower successfully hits your flight off to us at the TRACON, it's our job to get you through all the other aircraft in the local area and up to your cruising altitude.
All right, I'm already bored. So
that's That's an ADHD.
Yeah, bro, I'm already bored. Air traffic controllers, as you can tell, like what we said, and they kind of co-sign on what we were talking about. Their job is to keep airplanes from flying into each other, and it really gets deep into the woods as to how. So, USA Jobs, you have to go to usajobs.gov. All government jobs are listed under usajobs.gov. If you go there, right, air traffic control series is 2152, right? Which 2152s, 2152. If you go into the search engine, you type in 2152 or air traffic controller in the search engine, you hit enter, it'll take you to all of the jobs within air traffic control. Not just the jobs for the initial hire, but for a supervisor position at, let's say, Atlanta or Miami, or a controller position in Texas. All of the jobs within the agency are posted there. Of course, you can't apply for the supervisor's job. You won't qualify. It has the listings as to what the requirements are required for that particular position, what it pays, how long you have to apply. All that stuff is listed in there. I don't know if I can pull up a bid or not. I don't know if I can get in there. But and they refer to them as bids. So this hire that's coming out it's going to be an air traffic control bid. It's a new hire, so people off the street could do it. You have to go to USA Jobs, and right now, like if you're interested in this job or you know someone you think should do it, your kid, your nephew, your niece, whoever, the sharp kid from the neighborhood, you got to sit them down and go to USA Jobs right now and apply and start the process.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to apply right now because the job is not there. But what you can do, and what I always tell people to do, is build your resume in there now. Okay, build it in there now so that you have time, one, to go back and make changes and adjustments. The second thing is it's ready to go, because when air traffic control, they don't do public hires, which is air traffic controllers off the street. That doesn't happen very often. They do them in spurts. Like they'll do it once a year for like 3 years, then you won't see it again for 5 years. Okay, because they get so many applications. I think one year they had like 50 or 60,000 applications, and they were hiring 1,000 people, if not less than 1,000 people. So you have to get your resume together, and it's got to be tight, and it doesn't have to be specific. Like people think that, to be an air traffic controller, you have to have all this experience. Look, they want to know that you have the ability to control situations. They want to know that you have the ability to work in teams. That's the kind of stuff they're looking for in your resume. I've seen people that have gotten hired that were working at Walmart as a cashier, and I've asked to look at their resumes, and you see on their resume, I managed and moved items and blah, blah, blah. I worked in a team environment where I control the distribution of produce, stuff like that. So what I'm saying is there's certain keywords, there's algorithms that they look for in those resumes. So don't not apply because you think that, well, I've only worked at McDonald's my whole life. There's no way I'm getting a job like that. You might be the exact person that they're looking for. We have guys that are in the FAA that have been pro athletes, guys that are, working in the FAA that have been, Ivy League, gone to Harvard, gone to Yale. We have people in the FAA. And like I said, I worked with a guy that he was a cashier at Walmart.
Yeah, there were people. I work with people who worked at Hooters. There are people in there who were in the finance business. People like us who were soldiers. It does not matter. So what I did was I jumped on here just to show y'all some stuff. Real quick, Colonel Sanders. Also, the government is slow as fuck when it comes to their paperwork. Yes, absolutely. That's never, ever, ever going to change. And you have to stay on top of it as the applicant.
Well, and it really has nothing to do with the paperwork. It has to do with government employees, because in the private sector, the private sector is rough because they expect results. In the government, as a manager, I've been in meetings and talking to people and doing this stuff where when the clock hit 3:30, no matter where they were at, it was over. Like they're leaving, they're done for the day.
Hey, bye, see you.
Yes. Okay. Private sector, they'll stay until, they'll stay an extra 15, 20 minutes to make sure whatever they were doing is done. If they're in the middle of putting a piece of paper in a box, they'll stop, put that paper on the desk and walk out. Excuse me.
Hope that paper's there tomorrow when I get back.
Yes, I am not exaggerating. So,
So,
so be prepared for that.
Brother
No
William,
felons.
yeah,
No
no felons, no felons. Like if you know, there are different classifications of misdemeanors, but no felons. If you have a dishonorable discharge from the military, you need not apply.
And the reason is because you start out with your basic clearance is a public trust clearance, and what that is basically, you know, you're responsible. You know, you have to be a responsible individual to be an air traffic controller. And, you know, because one of the things they look at for your background check and for your clearances is they look at your credit. All right. Which scares a lot of people off. And you shouldn't be afraid of that as well, because it's not about what your credit score is. It's about your ability to handle your responsibility and your finances. So if you've made mistakes in your life, you know, let's say you ramp your credit cards or whatever, you know, you didn't pay bills, whatever happened, as long as you're in the process of trying to rectify that situation, then you're okay. So in other words, if you're in a debt consolidation program, you're okay. Don't worry about it. But you can't just have bad credit and just like, I'm not paying my credit card. Screw it. I'm waiting. No, they want to see that you're doing something. You're showing that level of maturity and responsibility that you're doing something to rectify that situation that you're in.
So there you go.
Don't let the credit thing scare you.
Yeah. But if you rob some banks and got caught, man, no, you can't.
Yeah, it's a wrap. You know what I mean? It's a wrap.
Yeah, Miss AK lady, I agree. You have to describe your impact versus your task. Good resume tip, and which is cool. I found. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is I just wanted to point a couple things out. This is USA. This is USA Jobs. Like I said before, they have their search engines here, right? So here are the keywords: job title, department, agency, serious, or occupation. I typed in 2152, and air traffic control came up. If you want a job in law enforcement, right? Myron Gaines has that FAA 1811. He said is the series, right? So here it is, 1811. Criminal investigation is the 18 series. So if you know the series, you can type that in and you'll be fine. And this is good not only for air traffic, but for young people out there. If you're a young person watching this, you should go to USA Jobs periodically and see what type of job. Type in something that you like: aviation, law enforcement, whatever it might be, engineering.
Hey, don't forget in the search bar, you know, you type in, you know, for air traffic 2152. Then to the right, you know, I really can't see it, but I know it's off to the right of the screen there. You know, all those boxes you want to check. There's a public box to check. They have the different, what do you call those things? Different icons for the different levels.
So the box he's talking about here, guys, you guys can see it on the screen. It says hiring path, and he's talking about open to public. Is that the box you're talking about?
Yes,
open
that's
to public.
The one you want to check. Yes.
So I didn't check that because we know it's not there yet, but I just wanted to show you guys a couple things. But when you do your search, open to public, and then go through and see what you can find. Hey, great tip, bro. Thank you very much. Because I only did this once, and we didn't have USA Jobs back then. It was a different process.
Brother, you know, when you get into management, you plus that program I had to be on there. But yes, you want to, and also when you type in 2152, when you select public option or whatever, public hire, whatever it is, you're going to get a whole lot of air traffic control jobs. All right. But a lot of them are going to be military jobs. Some of them are going to be contractor jobs. You know, that's a whole separate thing. You want your job to say FAA.
Yes. And I'm going to show you why right here. So right here, these job postings right here: air traffic control specialist terminal, Air National Guard units.
Yeah.
Right. So this is on the GS pay scale. Air traffic controllers have their own pay scale. Right. So here, ATCS, Certified Professional Controller, CPC, Level 12, AT, 2152, LH, all that's FAA lingo. All this right here. This is about what grade, how much money you're going to make, what level on the ATC pay scale, right? Federal Aviation Administration. This is what Jay Swans was talking about. This is Air National Guard. Down here, United States Army Forces Command, U.S. Army Forces Command. These are GS level jobs, GS 10, GS 9 to 11.
Yeah.
Air traffic, Federal Aviation Administration, right? I keep saying we as if I'm still in there, our own pay scale. So this air traffic control job in New York, Westbury, Eastern Region, ATO, Eastern Terminal Service Area, New York TRACON. This is like a radar guy's job.
Yeah.
Starts at $153,999.
Yeah.
Would you coming off the street qualify for this? Absolutely not. Have you bumped your head? This is the top of the top.
Actually, well, okay. If you got hired to go to that facility off the street, and you went to the academy and you got through you got through the academy, then you went through the facility and you went through the various training levels within that facility. So I mean, like I said, that's one of those places you would probably walk in and showing up first day as a developmental trainee at that facility, you'd probably walk in the door. I'm just guessing now at $100,000 a year or more. Okay. Then you would go through the various training positions within that facility. So by the time you completed your training at that facility, you would be at the bottom of that pay scale, which is $153,000.
Yeah, $154,000. But here's the thing. What I'm saying is, the FAA did that. They had problems with that. They stopped. If you just thinking well, I'm managing Target. I'm gonna apply. I got accepted. You know what I mean? Now I'm ready to go work in New York. Now there's a whole process you got to go through. You have to work your way up to this. Yeah. You might be able to get to the levels are based what 1 through 10, no 1 through 12 ATC. Yeah. So you might be able to get somewhere if you're lucky, an 8 or a 9. You start at that facility, you do well, and then you can apply.
Well,
I think the way they were doing it back then.
Yeah, now it's the way the public hire bids look like is that, it'll say public announcement, air traffic control, and you apply. All right. And they'll have a list of different locations where these places are. You won't be applying to a specific location. You will just be applying to work for the federal government as an air traffic controller. All right. Which means that you basically can go anywhere they need you to go. Now, at some point in the process, they're going to ask you, hey, where do you want to go? And if you say, I want to go to New York, all right, well, it'll be probably the Eastern region, which could be anywhere on the East Coast. But you specify, I want to go to New York. Okay, you can get to those places as an off-the-street hire. I mean, it doesn't happen very often because the failure rate is so high in some of those places. But certain facilities, that's just what they are, and they still need people. So they'll get you to those places. Now, when you go there, it's a training thing. Okay, like going to New York TRACON, New York Common Eye. Look, that I'll be surprised.
I was going to say that. So we're into the weeds again because now we're talking about a separate program within the agency.
Yeah,
the way they move. So just for someone coming off the street, hey, I'm smart. I want to be an air traffic controller. I want to go to Miami, or I want to go to New York, or I want to go to Atlanta.
Yeah, you won't get to pick those places like that. Now, what'll happen is they'll say, hey, they're still doing the calls like when we got our calls, from Rose, and when she called and she's like, hey, you want to go to LA? You want to go to Van Nuys? Go ahead. And it still works like that. So somebody will call and say, hey, do you want to go to Tampa? Right. And you say, no, I don't want to go to Tampa. All right, you go to the bottom of the list. Okay. And they'll call you back whenever they feel like calling you back. So there are people that end up at those big facilities right off the street, but it rarely works out well for them. It rarely works out well. And they try their best not to do that. But if the staffing is needed at that facility and your name happens to come up, it is what it is.
Yeah, and again, we're trying to stay out of the woods. There are levels to this, y'all. Yeah. We don't want to get into the higher level stuff because it just won't. It doesn't do us any good at what we're trying to do here today, which is encourage as many young people under the age of 31 to apply for this position when it comes out. We have reason to believe that it's going to be coming out here within the next 30 days or so. So the whole purpose of this particular podcast is to get those who are interested onto USA Jobs to start that process, to fill out what needs to be filled out, to know the pitfalls. So when the bid does come out, you're ready and you can apply. You can start this process.
Yeah. Hey, and Ozzy, the credit for air traffic like that, it doesn't have anything to do with your target for corruption like that. It's a whole different. It's a public trust thing, and it's different than like a secret or a top secret and that sort of stuff. It's a public trust thing. Yeah. So don't get into the law enforcement secret mindset like that. The FAA's credit check is designed to see if you're responsible enough to handle the level of responsibility that you're going to have for that position.
Yeah, i.e., when they give you a government credit card, you're not going to run out there and rent a Lamborghini with it.
That's exactly the way to look at it. Yeah, corruption
is what they're doing.
With it. Yeah, you don't have enough control as a basic controller. You don't have enough control. you know. Yeah, they're more concerned about when they get into that stuff. They're more concerned about your investments and that sort of stuff, and that comes with management. So that's a whole, or certain facilities.
Facility. Now, I can make a character look really good in a Tom Clancy book, but it'll be all bullshit. There's no controller that's going to be out there doing anything that's going to affect national security, because again, there are layers to it.
Yeah,
you can try something as an air traffic controller, but the military is out there. So whatever you're trying to do, the military is going to be watching you, and there's people watching the military. So
and there's people watching you.
And there's people watching you. There's people sitting right next to you. Miss Globe Girl, welcome. Thanks for coming out. Background investigations and security clearances are a must. Yes. It's always good if you're a young person out there and you join the military, or you get some sort of government job and you can get a top secret clearance done that you don't have to pay for. I encourage all young folks to do that. Like if you can get a top secret clearance and you ain't got to pay for it, get it. Right? Get it. That's never gonna hurt you. So that's what USA Jobs looks like. You go in there and like you pick, like we pick whatever. We'll just pull up this CPC job here. Looks like it's Philly. It's Philadelphia Tower. Now, of course, you wouldn't be able to apply for this off rip, but even though the air traffic controllers are already in, they still have to use this process to move around within the agency. So this is going to be a part of your
life
in this government. So
it's
very
competitive. It's very competitive. Like, people think that, once you're in, you're in. I mean, you are. I mean, they're not going to get rid of you, but to move up and move around, it's extremely competitive. Once again, there's only, roughly 17,000 controllers in the country. And, everybody's biting for the same position. Or everybody wants to work in Miami, or everybody wants to work in, we got Puerto Rico, LA, everybody wants to be in those places. So it's a fight for certain positions. So you have to always be on top of your game.
Always. So when you open it up, like it'll basically say that this is the open bid for the entry level position, right? So you'll come to a page, like you go in there. This job is open to, this particular job we're looking at now is only open to internal agency people who are currently employed. But when you get the posting that we're talking about that's coming, it'll say that it's open to all U.S. citizens and, naturalized citizens or whatever.
Go down to the requirements. I think the basic requirements are pretty much the same.
So here it is. And then, yes. So here you go. Here the requirement page that Jay Swans was talking about. Conditions of employment. You have to be a U.S. citizenship is required. Selective service registration is required for males born after December 31st, 1959. So for those of you who didn't register for selective service, you better go out there and do it.
You go to the post office and do that.
Yeah, just go do that. You could probably do that online now. For women, this is why men get mad when y'all say we equal, because y'all ain't got to do this. Must submit an SF-50. See required documents. The SF-50 is something you're going to hear all the time, and I believe that's the resume. The SF-50 is your
your SF-50 is like your personnel file for the government. You don't for the government. Yeah, that public hire will not have that on there.
But it will, and probably in its place it'll have a resume, and then all that stuff that you've done on your USA Jobs, that will satisfy that requirement.
Yeah, because what it'll be is like I said, the SF-50 that won't be there. The resume requirement will be there, and even when you're in, you have to submit an SF-50 and a resume. They're two separate things. So even if you're an air traffic controller and you're applying for this position, you will still have to submit a resume.
People wanted me to go to different facilities. Like, we need an experienced controller. And I looked at this and they're like, I still have to. I'm like, you mean to tell me the FAA after 20 years don't know where I am and they don't have my resume? I don't want the job. I'll stay here. I don't want to do it, which is dumb. FAA, I hope y'all listening. Y'all need to fix that. That is so stupid. Y'all don't know. Like, it should already be part of the system anyway. That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
Designated or random drug testing requirements. Yes, you will be drug tested. You will, as an air traffic controller throughout your career, There'll be random drug testing. There'll be random breath analysis. You'll come to work one day and they'll make you blow into a breathalyzer to see if you're drunk. And you will wonder, like, well, it's 5 a.m. Who comes to work drunk? You'll be surprised.
You'll be surprised.
You'll be surprised. They test for different things. They might be testing for marijuana. They might be testing for opiates. They might be testing for whatever. They test for different things. And it's never all at once. You don't know what they're testing for. Qualifications must be met by closing date of this vacancy announcement. That's always in there. That's important. They follow this to the T. If you submit 10 minutes after the vacancy closed, that's it. You're out. They're not even going to consider it.
Yeah, and it's timestamped. Everything is timestamped. So
everything is timestamped. Applicants must apply online through Aviator, and that's internal stuff. Yeah. And then it goes into qualifications for here. This is what you will have to do to be qualified for this particular job. We're not going to read that because no one watching this who wants to get in will have these qualifications. But when you open it up, this is all going to be there. All this stuff. It'll have all the information as to what's going on, and everything you need. Like how, and this is important here. We're down to the part that says how you will be evaluated. Any thoughts on that, Jay Swans?
It depends. That's an internal position. So, I mean, that's going to be a whole different.
But you think they'll have something on there?
Oh, yeah. It'll definitely. I mean, and I wouldn't even worry about that because it doesn't matter. You're submitting your application regardless, so it doesn't matter. But the key area you want to look at right there, required documents.
All right.
If you are missing one thing, they're not going to. Well, okay. Sometimes you will get an HR person that,
they're good at their job and they take pride.
It will pick up the phone and say, hey, you know what, you forgot this or that. Most of the time, you'll never know.
They throw it away.
It'll just get rejected. You'll never know.
You never know. And so when you get to this point, required documents, like Jay Swan says, this is the most important part. Make sure you have every single thing that they're asking for on that particular bid. Like he just said, inside the FAA, HR may or may not reach out to you, right? Outside the FAA, they don't know you. If they wanted to reach out to you, how could they?
Yeah, I had a young lady that we helped here apply for the last one, and she had everything in, everything was done, everything was right. We sat down with her and did everything right, and she was referred, for employment and testing. Well, they did not. For some people, the test never came. They didn't call her and say, hey, you know what, the test didn't come, we forgot to send you the test, or there's a problem with the system or whatever it was. They just said nothing. So she was devastated, and it had nothing to do with her resume, nothing to do with her. It was just that there was a problem with the system and there was people all over the country that just didn't get anything and they didn't say anything. So that's how this works. So they're not your friend. They're not going to hook you up. You're actually going to have to be on top of this. And something else you need to know, at the bottom of a lot of these bids, there's a phone number and an email address and a name.
We're on it right here.
There you go. Make sure you get that, send an email, make a phone call, just to say, whatever questions you have, be on top. Don't be afraid to make that phone call. Don't just send an email and walk away. Send the email and make a phone call. Okay. Because you are one of 50,000 emails that they'll be getting. You're one of 50,000 phone calls. All right. And when you get them on the phone, just ask, hey, does everything look good with my paperwork? Everything look good? Do I have everything I need? And they'll go over it with you there. They will. Okay. Do that. Do not just sit back and be like, all right, I sent an email, I'm done with it. All right. And I know a lot of people like to do that because they're uncomfortable with having these conversations with people, which if you're trying to be an air traffic controller, get comfortable with conversations, get comfortable with talking, because you're going to do it all day long. And you're going to yell at people. You're going to have to talk to people forcefully, and not just people on the radio, but the person standing next to you that's in a tower cab with you. You're going to have all that going on. So just be ready for that. All right. So do not be afraid. Pick up the phone, call these people.
This position is worth the fight, right? Because
okay, no, that's not true. I'm reading her statement.
Oh well, give me a second. We're reading a second. This position is worth the fight. You dig? Like this career would change your life. It would change your children's and your children's children, your grandchildren lives. So don't just be like, well, I applied. Follow up, right? Be aggressive, because once you get in, this could be one of the best things you've ever done.
Yeah.
You dig? So Ms. Globe Girl is saying if they reach out to you, they have to reach out to everyone else, or they potentially can get claim of discrimination. And you want to say what to that?
Yeah, that's not true. All right. There's different levels of reaching out, in this whole thing like this. This is the federal government. Okay. Now, if the HR person sees something wrong with your paperwork, they can totally reach out to you. Okay. Now, I've heard people say, well, if they interview one person, they have to interview all people. Not necessarily. That discrimination thing, that's a whole HR thing. And believe me, the government is on top of that. They're not going to, no, don't even think about that. Okay. It has nothing to do with if they reach out to one person. No, that's not true. And I know that for a fact. I've been involved in the process. I've been involved in the hiring process. We had people reach out to Don and I both when we got hired, and they weren't reaching out to everybody. They reach out and talk to the people that they need to talk to about the things they need to speak with them about. Okay.
And the private sector and government, they're different. And within government, which shouldn't be the case, but it is.
Each department is different.
Each department is different. The way they operate is different. So, and again, this was shocking to us when we saw it. Like, oh wow, you could do that. Because our union would go to war with management over these sort of things, and we would see it like, yeah, you're right. They don't have to. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they don't.
Yeah, I've been on hiring panels where the actual bid says, some or all people will be interviewed. That sort of thing.
Some
and people,
or all.
Yeah. So I mean, and and it's all about the attorney and the legal stuff and stuff like that. And don't even worry. Don't even just get that completely out of your head. This is the government. They do what they want to do.
Yeah, they kind of do what they want to do. And Ms. Globe Girl follows up with, if HR person calls you because your resume lacks something, they have to do the same for everyone else. And
okay, you say so. All right.
But here's the thing. Like, that makes sense in the private sector.
Yeah,
that makes sense in other parts of the world. But one thing I learned about working for the government, in particular the FAA, a lot of it doesn't make sense.
Hey, I've already explained it. So hey,
Well, but you got to understand these come in at different times, bro. Like, I don't show them right away.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? You see what I'm saying?
Like,
so yeah. I don't show them right
away.
away.
Me, I said,
right. Well, and so even with all that said, this is the best career that I ever even delved into, because I would talk to people on the private sector side, people who were like contract controllers who were not FAA, and they're all trying to get in.
Yeah,
they're all waiting for an opportunity to get into the FAA because they even see the difference.
Well, it's because our retirement is phenomenal. Our working hours, are phenomenal. We don't have, on paper, we have the standard, 8-hour day, 15-minute breaks, 30-minute lunch.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because that changes for everything. So we've already talked about how to do it. It's coming, y'all. It's coming. USA Jobs, get on there, start that process, get ready for this bid that's coming out, and then jump on that. Let's say you get through all that. You get through the assessment, you get through the initial exam, you get out to Oklahoma City, and you make that, right? All right, cool. Now what? What's it like to be an air traffic controller, right? So you're going to get to your first facility. First place they're going to send you to work. They're going to send you, okay, you're going to St. Pete. You're going to Van Nuys. You're going to Burbank. Wherever they send you. It's your first facility. The first year that you're hired into the FAA, you're on probation. So is that still the case? You could be fired for anything within that first 12 months.
You're still on probation. Yeah. You're still there.
They can fire you for anything.
Yeah.
Now, have I ever seen anyone get terminated within the first? I've never seen it, but I'm sure it's happened. I've never seen it.
Yeah, I've been on appeal panels, so it has definitely happened. And usually it's for insubordination type stuff. Can't show
over the top, crazy stuff. Yeah. Coming to work high, coming to work drunk, stuff like that.
I haven't seen it have anything to do with the actual job, talking to planes itself. But it's usually stuff that is easily avoided. Like I said, coming to work on time, coming to work high, failing a drug test, insubordination.
Insubordination, harassment, assault, like these sort of over the top kind of things.
You got to try.
They'll get rid of you. It's not that, we don't like the way you're dressed, like it's a dress code violation back when we had a dress code. It's nothing like that.
Well, they've spent way too much money by that point to make it something like that. So you got to earn it. They spent a lot of money getting you where you're at.
Yeah, and we're not going to talk about, we just want to, what I want to try to convey here is that you really have to try hard to get fired within that 12-month probationary period. So, and we talked about promotion. So the basic work week, like you go to work. Now, air traffic controllers, of course, some facilities are open 24 hours, some are not.
Yeah.
So you have to have coverage, right? So the schedules are never the same. You're not going to work at a basic 9 to 5, 7 to 3, 10 to 6 kind of thing. And then within the facilities, the unions have a lot of say on how they run the schedule. At least it was that way.
Yeah, that changes.
It changes from time to time, and that's from facility to facility. So as a comedian, the reason comedians had a hard time believing I was an air traffic controller is because I was always doing comedic stuff. I was always at the shows. I was at the open mics. I was doing all this stuff because I could change my air traffic control schedule to fit my comedy schedule. And it was perfectly fine. So, and we'll give you just one example. So if Jay Swans is my boss, right, and I'm working, I'm gonna get, let's say we're not a 24-hour facility. Let's say we close at, I don't know, 11 p.m. We open at 6 p.m. At 6 a.m. We close at 11 p.m. I'm gonna get 2 late shifts, which means I'll be the last one there to actually close down the facility. I'll probably get some shift in the middle. It was like sometime in the middle of the day, and then I'll get 2 shifts in the morning. One of them be like I get there real early, and that last day I'll get there very early. I will open.
I can tell you what it would be right now off the top of my head. Open at 6, close at 11.
Yep.
So you would get 2 whatever 8 hours minus 11 is. So 3 to 11. Is that what it is? So you get 2. You would get 2.
3 to 11.
Yeah, 2 3 to 11s. You would get a probably like a 10 to 6, and then you'll get 2 6 to 2 shifts.
6 to 2 shifts, or I'll get a 6 to 2 shift, or like whatever the earliest shift is, like the 5:30. You know what I mean? The 5:30 to 1:30 shift, because you got to open and you got to close. So one's going to be really early, one's going to be really late. Now, that's the boss. He just told me it's in writing. Here's your shift. Now I can go to other controllers and say, listen, I only want to work the closing shifts, which most people hate. I only want to work the 3 to 11s, and they can trade with me. They can give me their 3 to 11, so I'll work 5 days while I'm just there at night. 3 to 11. I ain't got to be at work until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'll leave work at 11 o'clock, and I can go do whatever I need to do out there in the world, comedy or Uber or whatever it is you want to go do, right? So I don't know many careers that'll let you do that.
Yeah, well, because the requirement is just I need a certain number of staffing to perform at a certain number a day. So if I need 5 people in the morning, 5 in the afternoon, and 5 in the evening, I don't care who they are, as long as there's 5 people at each thing. So yeah, they shift and trade all the time. I could care less.
Care less, and there's also an opportunity for people to work extra without getting paid overtime.
Yeah,
they have this program called credit time. Like, we're not going to get the difference between comp time, credit time, and all that.
It's real interesting. Yeah.
But I can come in like, okay, I'm supposed to be at work at 3, but I really want to leave. I don't want to wait till 9. 11. I want to leave at 9. So I can come in 2 hours early, right? I can come in at 1, work 2 hours of credit on the front end, and then when it's time for me to go home at the back end, I say, hey, we don't need you, man. You can take 2 hours off and you can leave early. We can have extra bodies or whatever. So it's a net loss for me. I took 2 hours. I came in 2 hours early. I left 2 hours late. I didn't have to use any of my official time.
What though? That actually goes from facility to facility though.
Yes.
That gets real touchy. Yeah, you see, I'm sitting there thinking about it. Believe me, I've had to jam some people up for
But
that gets touchy.
There's a way to do it that it doesn't bother the boss.
There's a lot of flexibility. There's a lot of flexibility,
and there was a cap on credit time. Like when I first started in 1998, hours. How much is it?
25 hours.
25 hours is the cap per pay period or year or something like that. But
25 per pay period.
But before there was no cap.
Yeah.
So I could work as much credit time as I wanted. And in theory, I can work up to 3 weeks of credit time, and I could take 3 weeks off.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't use any of my official leave and all that kind of stuff. So again, tons of flexibility. They put a cap on it, like I said, 25 hours per pay period, which still really works pretty good. You can still get a couple weeks off. And I will work with people who would take a month off.
Well, no, actually, you know what? It was 25. You could only carry over 25 hours of credit time.
Okay.
That's all you can carry over. So once you had 25, you had to start using it. So yeah, it wasn't 25 pay period. It was 25 period.
So you had 25 credit hours on the book. Fine. Let's talk about leave. Like, how much leave did you get per pay period?
When you first start out, if you have no military background, you get 4 hours of annual time and you get 4 hours of sick leave. So 8 hours total. After you've been in, I think it's 3 years, it goes up to 6 hours of annual leave, but your sick leave time stays at 4 hours of pay period. And then I want to say it's 2 or 3 more years after that, you go up to 8 hours of annual leave and then 4 hours of sick time of pay period. So, and a lot of people have a problem with this. We don't have PTO like regular jobs do, like this private sector does. We have separate accounts. We have an annual leave balance, and then we have a sick leave balance, and the two are separate. Okay. So your sick leave will never change. You're going to earn 4 hours every 2 weeks of sick leave. So 8 hours a month. Your annual leave is where it changes. Okay. So your annual leave, like I said, is 8 hours of pay period. All right.
So that's 16 hours. You earn 16 hours time off a month.
Yeah. Your basic time off. Now, you also have sick time. So actually you're earning 21 hours a month.
21 hours a month. And then you can add an additional up to 25 hours that you can use as a cap to use, you know, like, okay, I got 25 credit time. So I don't know of any position. People didn't think I worked. They really didn't think I worked because I was everywhere doing all these sorts of things between trading my shifts around, between credit time, between my annual leave and all that kind of stuff, my paid time off.
Yeah. I
was everywhere. And I don't know any jobs where you have this kind of flexibility unless you own the job. Like I mean, I know CEOs who have this kind of flexibility.
Yeah, but it's definitely an experience. I loved it.
And Miss AKA lady is saying that's a nice leave structure. Like, yes. And the finesse is there. Like, the bigger the facility, the more leeway it seems for finesse. You have people just working these things, doing these things. They're doing their required time on the job, but they're maximizing their time off to be with their kids, to be with their family, to go see the world. I know so many people who've seen the world while working. Like, you know, you see somebody that get to work, and I'm like, what's up? Where were you last weekend? Like, I was in Greece. I was in Antarctica. I was wherever. Great job. So I just wanted to throw that in there. And that kind of comes under the typical day. Like, so you come into work. You're coming in, you're going to work 8 hours. You come in, and again, this changes from facility to facility, but the FAA has rules that you typically, a controller cannot work more than 2 hours without taking a break. And if they do, over a period of time, the FAA comes in and talks to the manager to determine why. Like, why are these controllers working so much time on position? Because what we're doing, you never know when it's going to get crazy. Just like that. You never know when it's going to get crazy.
That's my pit poodle.
Yeah, it's pit poodle. So you don't want controllers who are just sitting there maybe mentally checked out and all of a sudden it gets crazy. So they want you fairly fresh. So you can't work no more than 2 hours on position without taking a break. And generally speaking, breaks are what? You know, I've gone places where they're taking, you know, hour and a half on and 45 minutes off. They'll take a 45-minute break and they'll come back.
That's more common than you think. Like I said, the standard rotation is 2 15-minute breaks and a 30-minute lunch is what it's supposed to be. And all those breaks and lunches are all paid. But yeah, but routinely, you know, it's an hour on, hour off in a lot of places. You know, hour and a half on at the most. And you know, and part of that is, you know, you don't want, you know, okay, this is where the job does get difficult. You know, sometimes it's dead or it's slow and it's not that big of a deal. People are just lazy. We'll just call it what it is. But there's other times where it gets extremely busy. And that's where, like when Miss AK was talking about earlier, how stressful the job can be. So yes, that's where it gets stressful. And you don't want those guys working up to that 2 hours because it's mental stress. And you'd be surprised how the mental stress affects you, because you'll see people up there sweating, you know, breathing hard and that kind of stuff. There's a lot that goes into that. So you want these breaks. You know, and as a manager, I was keen to make my controllers take breaks to the point where I got in trouble for it before because I would give them so many breaks.
Well, you need that. And then again, different facilities have different the flow of air traffic is different. At LAX, at Miami, to a degree, Chicago, Atlanta, these big places, you know when it's going to be crazy busy because the airlines have to tell you in advance. They post their flights. Right? We know at 1700 we're going to get a push. The algorithms and stuff involved with air traffic, the computer will tell you based on the information of the airplanes coming in when it's going to be bad. And it's a color code. You got green, yellow, and red. Like, oh, it's about to be red. Let me get some people back on breaks. Or you're looking out in advance like, oh, you know what? By 4:30, it's going to be crazy. It's 1 o'clock now. Let me get my top controllers on break. Let me get them downstairs now.
Well, at Napa, we had the Japan Airlines flight school. And, the way we see it, we see those guys running out on the ramp like it's midway. Running out there.
Someone cranking a little horn or something. Like, oh, man, get them up here.
So, we start grabbing people like, hey, come on, it's time to, it's game time. But you want to get to our question. We used to fly for free.
But yeah, like, so Miss AK lady is asking, do you fly for free? No. However,
not anymore. Yeah.
However, there is still currently, there's a training program in which air traffic controllers can fly up front with the pilots so they can see what the pilots are doing, and they're listening to air traffic. They're actually on the flight going somewhere, and they can. It's called a FAM.
The FAM program.
Yeah,
but it's
so you can be familiar with what the pilots are going through, and that can help you enhance your skills as an air traffic controller. And I'm here to tell you, the first few FAMs that I took actually did help me.
It was cool.
It was very cool, and I didn't work with air carriers the first part of my career, so I was flying around with the local airplanes. And the pilots got you in the airplane. They'll fly you around. They love flying air traffic controllers around.
Yeah.
And they can tell you, man, did you hear that? I hate it when you guys talk to me at this point. Hey, why are you guys doing this? I don't understand this. And that really enhanced me as an air traffic controller because I would take the information that I learned from being up front in the airplane. I'm like, yeah, you're right. This is annoying. Every time a pilot, every time a controller does this, after telling me to do that, this is annoying. You're telling me to do one thing, and then you're talking to me right away to do something else. And that would help me better modify my techniques. Also, I would teach these things to the next controllers coming up, and it would make sense to the controllers. Now, why did I say all that? Because twice a year back then, we would be able to okay, I'm going to fly with Delta from LA to New York as a FAM, as training. And, it was just a free flight. You know what I mean? But to answer your question, no, we don't get to fly for free like they do if you work for Delta or American. And the reason for that is this. I will guarantee you that all of the major airlines would love to give air traffic controllers free flights. Because then they're like, oh, we're their favorite. American gives you free flights, but Delta doesn't. So when I have to decide who's first, who's second, who's going to take this 2-hour delay, well, American, they've been hooking us up with these flights to Europe, and to Australia. And Delta told us to go kick rocks. So guess what? Delta has a 2-hour delay. That's human nature.
That's facts because Southwest pissed me off one time, and I told them, I said, you guys will never leave this airport on time again. And so I was a little irritated. So yeah,
and that happens a lot. I tend not to say that stuff on frequency. I probably think.
Well, no, I said that to the ramp agent.
Yeah,
I told him to her face. Because they lost my luggage. To this day, I ain't put Southwest system, bro. So that was I shouldn't have said that. That was bad.
The worst thing I ever did to an air carrier, I was working in Miami, and I had a Miami guy. He was what was he flying? He was flying like a 7.6 or something like that. He was flying a big airplane. That's based on seniority. You just don't get into a 777 or a 7.6 or a 747, whatever Airbus, and be a rookie guy. So this guy was obviously just not paying attention to me. Whatever he was doing up front, he wasn't paying attention to me. So every instruction I gave him, he would, turn left at this intersection, left turn Charlie 6, join Bravo or whatever. And he kept blowing he kept missing my instructions, kept messing them up, right? And there's all American pilots out there. This is Miami. It's an American hub. And this guy must not have been that liked by the other pilots. So finally, I told him to stop. And then I asked him, is there an instructor on board? Which is something we would say all the time at smaller facilities where people are learning how to learn how to fly. Yeah. As soon as I said that, is there an instructor on board? All the other American airline pilots keyed on, nope, but there should be. And they're laughing like, you know what I mean? That guy's the worst. And that pilot everything I told him from that point on, he was on it like that all the way until he left our airspace, until we got him airborne. He talked to, the TRACON or whatever.
Now, mind you, that is completely unprofessional, and you can get in a lot of trouble for that. All right.
I got an extra break for that because they were like, "You the man," but you got to be careful when you do stuff like that.
That's a management. I mean, and and we've all done it. Like I said, I've yelled at pilots. I mean, one of my best friends, Mike, did something he wasn't supposed to do, and I had him come to the base of tower. I was ready to fight him early in my career, and so yeah, but that that kind of stuff is controllers. One thing that controllers are is they're very professional. You can listen in on different websites. I think one's FlightAware or something like that.
Yeah, you listen to
and controllers are very, very professional because you have to be, because everything you say, everything you do will be used against you in a court of law.
Yes.
And this is why they make so much money. Like I tell people, it's not for what you do, it's what you know. And if you do have to do something, it's when things go bad, when planes crash, when people get hurt, you will be in court. You will be in depositions. And they will analyze every word that you said. Why did you say a instead of an? They would literally go down every word, and it's uncomfortable. I had a plane crash at Christmas time, and you could hear the family singing Christmas carols on the plane right before the guy crashed. And I had to listen to that tape over and over and over again. And, all the people that think, oh, it wouldn't even faze me, I'm this and that. You know what? You hear kids singing Christmas carols and the plane crashes, and they're questioning everything you did. Why didn't you give them the wins at the airport for the 5th time? Why'd you only give it to them 4 times? And you start questioning yourself.
Yeah, because they'll say, what's the requirement? Why'd you give it to him 5 times? What's the requirement? Well, the requirement is I do it once, or there is no, I need to get this information to a pilot in time for it to be useful. Well, You told him 10 minutes prior to him landing or impact. Why didn't you say it 2 minutes before? And you notice the two of us are talking about this. Yeah. This is the downside of air traffic control. Yeah. And this is why it's so stressful. I was trying to get through the episode without talking about this, but we have to. This is why air traffic is so stressful.
This is why you make your money. Yeah, this is why,
You are literally the last line of defense. You are the one person that could save this person or not. And sometimes you're in situations where there's nothing you can do, and you're talking to this person.
Yeah,
I've been in situations where this guy know he's going down, and some of his last words were "thank you."
Yeah,
and then that's it. They're gone. So that is a lot scary. There's people that that are flying out there. There was a story. We had some pilots that went out. They used every Sunday they would go out flying, and our buddy, one of the controllers, used to fly with them. They always go out 5. One day they went out 5 of them. They came back 3. And it took some time, but about an hour or so after they landed, we found out that 2 of those airplanes in the flight went down in the canyon and all were lost on board. 6 people, 3 on each plane. We thought our controller buddy was on board. We couldn't get a hold of him. He was somewhere else. But just the stress of dealing with that every day, these people you talk to weekly, sometimes, 3-4 times a week, and then they're gone. So that's hard to deal with.
There's families. Families on these planes. You forget that stuff. Well, sometimes you have controllers. I don't think anybody ever really forgets it. I think that you get comfortable in what you're doing. You get complacent. And you see easy. It does. And like I said, that family that crashed like that, I've had 4 crashes in my career, and I tell you, 3 of them, it's like it happens. But that one, like I said, I listened to the family sing Christmas carols. The man's last words were, "Oh God, I've killed my whole family." And they make you play that over and over again. You sit there and listen to it over and over again. And you question yourself. Did I do everything right? And like I said, that booklet, that 7110.65 book, it's literally the size of 2 phone books.
Okay? It's impossible to follow every rule and regulation. It is absolutely. I used to tell people, controllers would come to me and say, I'm perfect. I know everything is facility. I've done everything right. And I would sit there with them like, I'll give you $100. $100. If you can go 10 minutes without making a mistake. I never had to pay that money out.
No. Well, even everything you say in the tower is out of that book. If you want to get really, like as a manager, there was not a day that went by that I could not jam somebody up for a phraseology, because they tell you exactly what to say.
Send me a tape of an air traffic controller that says he's perfect, and it'll take me 40 seconds to point out 3 mistakes.
I'm telling you, my retirement job, I'm a contractor. I review this stuff, and daily I review incidents and accidents daily. All right. And I literally could pick people apart every day if I felt like it.
Every single day. Just going by the book.
Yes. And that's where you earn your money. That's where the stress comes in, and you're going to have an accident. You're going to be involved at some point in your career, at some type of accident, like the Kobe Bryant situation.
Before you go, stop, pause you right there. The Kobe Bryant situation. I'm sitting at Van Nuys. This is, I don't know, my last few months in the agency. It was one of those days where we were the tower guys. So if it was a lot of storms and clouds around, we didn't do anything. It was a lot of fog. We just sitting back doing nothing. One of the controllers talked to some helicopter that went through. 40 minutes later, our facility representative came up and all these people coming up crying. What's wrong with y'all? Kobe Bryant just died in a helicopter crash. Really? Where? And he started pointing. He was up there. We got to pull tapes. What you mean pull tapes? Kobe don't fly out of here. Well, that helicopter we talked to had Kobe on board. And next thing you know, that later on that day, it's on CNN. It's all over the internet. The controller who was talking to him, not to him, but talking to that pilot of that helicopter, that's her voice. Everything she said was perfect. Textbook, because she was that type of controller. That's just how she worked airplanes. And if it weren't for that, she'd probably be sitting in court right now.
Yeah.
Because they went through every step, every phase of that flight looking to blame somebody. Miss AKA lady, the level of responsibility and accountability sounds stressful. It is.
It is. There's no way. And that's where the stress comes in. There is. Like I said, and now I look at this stuff, every day now, and everybody that touched it, and everybody that touched an aircraft. So Kobe departed from Burbank, I believe it was.
Nah, he was down in Orange County somewhere. He stopped at Burbank. That helicopter was outside of Burbank's airspace for an ungodly amount of time. I don't want to speak on it because I was in the tower that day, but
and I was involved in the investigation, so it's
so we can't really talk about it.
Yeah, but basically every facility that he was involved with, every facility, they pulled tapes, basically listened to recordings from every facility, okay, and looked and took statements from most of the controllers that were working anywhere near him.
Every single controller. I was sitting in the tower, had absolutely nothing to do with nothing. And I've never seen, in my 20 plus years at the time, I had never seen the amount of eyes that was on that particular incident. Yeah, it blew me away.
Yeah, it's definitely. And mind you, granted, part of it was because it was him, and they knew that Mrs. Bryant's got ungodly money, and it was going to be ugly when it came time for the court stuff. But most accidents and incidents are almost identical. You won't hear about it all over the news, but when you're having to sit there and do depositions, it's ugly. It's ugly for anybody. So that's the level of responsibility. This is why, they put you through these security background type checks and this and that, because they want to make sure that the worst thing you can do in these situations is lie. That is the worst thing you can do, is lie. Yes.
My favorite phrase in court is, I do not recall.
Not recall. Do not lie, because everything you do is recorded. It's like I said, but that's the negative side of it. We're going down a negative side, and that's because, we've had those experiences, and it's hard to talk about the positive without talking about the negative. But the career, accidents, they happen. They happen on a regular basis. You would be surprised.
You'd be surprised. It doesn't. Yeah. And here's the thing about accidents too. I don't want to scare you guys from flying. Yeah. Flying is the safest form of travel. Anything that goes wrong is an incident or accident. Anything. Yes. So when we say accident, we're not talking about an airplane fell out the sky. We're not talking about that. There's so many things that can happen. Like imagine if in your car, every time you went in your car, you had to fill out this much paperwork for a flat tire. You get a flat tire, you had to fill out this much paperwork. That's what it's like. The plane got a flat tire. That's an incident, right? Some person got off the airplane and took a step over a red line. They took one step over a red line. We're not supposed to go over that red line. That's an incident. Right?
I always tell people, the same people that drive are the same people that fly. Okay, so you don't see car accidents every day, but you see people crossing lines and changing lanes without blinkers. I mean, and that's what it is. There's a lot of little things like that. Planes, you know, especially with smaller planes, because they're not professional pilots. You know, these are just guys with money and bought a plane and decided to fly. So, I mean, there's lots of little incidents and errors. You're going to be involved in that sort of stuff. And that's where you earn your money. I mean, pilots get lost. You know, like, you know, Don was just showing me a picture that he has of the Tuskegee Airmen. I had a Tuskegee Airman flying around my airport when I was first starting in my career, and he couldn't figure things out. And, you know, I'm yelling at the guy because I don't know he's a Tuskegee Airman. He's just some idiot pilot that needed to be yelled at. And to the point where I went and saw this guy. And when I realized, you know, one, that he was 90 years old and he was just flying because he loved it. And two, this man is Tuskegee Airman, which is, you know, one of my heroes, one of the greatest men that ever lived or walked this planet. And I had to kind of check myself a little bit. You know, the pilot, you know, we're not there to educate them and treat them. Well, we are there to help them, but educate is when controllers like to yell at pilots. Look, we're not there to yell at pilots. You know, we're there to assist them and to get them on the ground safely. And I think sometimes that gets lost in the shuffle. So, like I said, it's a great career. I mean, any opportunity that you have to get into this career or help somebody get into it, it's definitely going to change their life. Because what percentage of the country makes over $100,000 a year? Didn't you say like 14% or something?
Around 14% of the country.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident saying that every air traffic controller makes over $100,000 a year. I'm pretty confident in saying that.
Yeah, I wouldn't fight him on that. The overwhelming majority of controllers do. And we said we know. So thanks for watching this with y'all. With us. It's been an hour and 40 minutes. We were able to touch on some things about air traffic. Yeah. And here's the thing. Apply. If you're over 31, find the sharp young, they ain't even got to be sharp. Find the young people in your family, the kids at the grocery store, the person at the movie theater, the guy busting tables at your favorite restaurant. Tell them to watch this video, or just tell them to go to USA Jobs
and apply.
Right? And apply. Become an air traffic controller. 2152, 2152. Apply. Try to get in there.
Yes.
And I
just
promise
apply.
you, because it's so rewarding. We told you some of the bad things. We told you some good things. We told you about the everyday things. Talking about time off. Talking about retirement. Look at me. I'm 50 years old. I'm older than this guy. I'm retired. He's younger than me. He's retired.
I'm
right. So
I've been retired what, two years?
Yeah, Brad, quit bragging. Quit bragging. But here's the thing. This career changed my life in so many ways. And it could change your life if you only try. Do you have what it takes? You won't know until you apply. So please, 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 I'm begging for you. You know what I mean? Please go out here seriously. And do it. Do it.
You know,
if you're a person of color, if you're a woman, absolutely do it. They need you. They need you.
I've been recruiting and helping people get into this career field for years, and nothing frustrates me more than when I tell people about it and they just don't believe it. You know, quick story. You know, I told Lou about this. You know, I had a young man that, I went and spoke at a high school. You know, spoke to a group of kids in the classroom, and it was minority kids. You know, black kids like us. And most of the kids were in there cutting up this and that. One kid told me that the only reason I was able to get a job like this is because I spoke like I was white. Woo. And I had to explain to him, like, no, I'm speaking to you like an adult. I can be this other person. I just don't do that all the time publicly because I have a career. But Don knows things change sometimes and I have to kind of watch myself. But one young man, he, stopped me on the way out. He asked me a bunch of questions. He went home and told his mother about it. His mother called me up. I gave all these kids my business card. His mother called me up and said, why would I fill her son's head with this crap? Because they're not going to pay no black man this much money. And, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, but I'm black, but so I told her, I said, look, we'll have lunch. I will talk to you and him tomorrow, together. Went and picked her up, took him out to lunch. She was shocked. She was shocked that one, that I was black, two, that I was so young. I think I might've been 30, 31 at the time. She was shocked. And her son ended up, he actually went to the Air Force for a couple of years, came out of the Air Force. He went to New York TRACON. Okay. So that young man, he finished training. I think he finished training because he was in the Air Force he only got a 4-year enlistment. It was supposed to be 6 years, but he got a 4-year enlistment. He went at 18, he got out at 21, and he completed his training at New York Common I think 2 or 3 years later. So before he was 25 years old, that young man was making probably $180,000, $200,000 a year.
Oh, it's 200 all day. Common I, 200.
Yes,
200. Just because he
like,
got paid, he didn't get paid that bonus. He probably got 75,000 just to show up.
I don't even remember.
They had that bonus.
No, this was before that. This is before the bonus. Okay. Well, no, maybe this was after. I don't know, but I know it was to the point where he was calling, my wife and I, and asking what to do with this money, because he's never had that much money before. He didn't know what to do with it.
And that's going to be our next episode. Jay Swan's put me on with the perfect realtor. I can't wait to get him on the show. That's what you do with that money. You buy yourself a house. Yes, so I would the Wordens. My mom has that same mindset. You know, it's a lot of our moms and dads have that mindset, y'all. It's sad, but it's true. It is what it is. We gotta fight that. Andrew Tate says this.
Oh, go ahead. I was gonna say there's nothing wrong. I mean, look, don't be upset with your parents about that, because they were raised a certain way. You know,
yes, it's the world they came up in.
Yes, at some point we have to break that. You know, and that's a cultural thing that, you know, we can get into another time or whatever.
Right. And what brother Andrew Tate says, man, you always got to bring up red pill people. Yeah, but here's the thing. This is what Andrew Tate says: resist the slave mind. You must resist the slave mind. That's kind of like we talked about that on the eye contact thing. It's kind of like it's like a mindset. I think we're doing good as a community. I think we're coming out of it. We got to continue to fight and push through it. So my last three, I got one last thing, and then we're gonna be done. I'm gonna ask you. I got 3 things I'm gonna say to you. I need you to rate them 0% to 100%. All right.
You talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you. Air traffic, your career, air traffic in general, 0% to 100%. How you would rate this? Job satisfaction.
100%. I love it.
100. I did too.
Yeah.
Growth potential.
An 80%, because a lot of it is on you. You know what I mean? And some of it gets to be political, like anything else. At some point, it gets to be political. I mean, a lot's on you, but it does get to be political. So I'd say about 80%.
I got it at 100%. I got it at 100% growth potential, because for the same reason you just said, it's on you. But sometimes you got to push a little bit harder, but the potential is there. Retirement.
It's the political part that's the thing, you know.
Yeah, it's the bullshit.
I'm coming from management, you know. I'm in management, so it's
and
retirement.
I know your story, so retirement.
Yeah, retirement. 100%. I mean,
100%.
shoot, I'm sitting there now working because I had nothing else to do during COVID. I literally do not have to do anything. I mean, I'm not even playing. You know, I mean, like I said, I'm working because I got nothing else to do. You know, seriously.
People, think of what I just asked him. Job satisfaction, 100%. Growth potential, 80%. I say 100. Retirement, 100%.
Hold on. We'll go back. Okay, hold on. That growth potential. Yeah, that growth potential. You know, you're talking like growth as in, you know, moving up in your career in the management, going forward like that, or growth potential, being a controller, just staying a controller, just bouncing around from facility, because that's 2 different things. Because
I look at them as one the same. It's the growth potential to be what you want to be within that, within the confines of that career.
Yeah, I mean, within the confines of air traffic as a whole, yeah, okay, I say between 80 and 90%. Then
that's fine. I mean, you can leave it at 80. It's still 80%. 80, 90, 100 doesn't matter. Yeah. People, listen to what we're saying. Job satisfaction, growth potential, retirement. Where else are you going to get these numbers? You're coming in, you're going to be making $100,000 a year within the first 24 months of your career. Think about that. $100,000. The work is real work. It's something you could be proud of. And I'm gonna finish with this. I can't tell you how many times, and I'm sure Jay Swans, he'll back me up on this and tell you his stories. I can't tell you how many times I told a pilot, stop your descent, turn right immediately, something like that. And the pilot is nothing. And then the pilot comes up and says, good call, Tower. I owe you one. Oh. And come Christmas time, they send you stuff to the tower. Right? I can't tell you how many lives I have saved. I can't tell you. You hear it in their voice. I've told the pilot, it was guy taxiing around. I told him the whole position. He stopped, and the airplane went flying right past it. Good call, Tower. Do you understand how that makes you feel at the end of the night, where I have more of those stories than I do about the stories of the people we couldn't save?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm just sitting there thinking, like, yeah, definitely. There's a lot of, when you hear them, you could hear how shaky they are in their voice because they realize they almost died tonight. Yeah,
they almost died, and guess what? You saved them. That's why pilots love air traffic controllers. That's why they have such admiration. That's why they listen to what we tell them to do, because they understand that it's our job to keep them alive. Why? My mom could be on that plane. My daughter could be on that plane. My sister, Miss AK lady, could be on that plane. Miss Globe girl could be on that aircraft. I treated every airplane as if my family was on board. So, hey, man, I'm just saying, it was a great career.
It's real. Thinking about it now, that's real.
That's real. It's coming up, y'all. There's a job posting coming up. I will keep reminding people as I get information. I'll put it out. Go to USA Jobs right now. If you're under 31, start the process now. When the bid comes out, be ready. It's gonna be a hard road. It's gonna be hard, but you got to push through it. Stay dedicated and make it happen. Just like that young brother brought his family to the test, had him sleeping in the car while he went to take that test. Right? You have to, just like the young brother whose mom was like, nah, they ain't gonna let a black man do this. Right? Some years later, he's making over $200,000 a year working at one of the toughest air traffic control facilities on the planet. Right? I'm telling y'all, it is great. You want to feel good about yourself? You want that confidence? You want that swag? Be an air traffic controller. It's almost as good as being airborne. Almost.
Yeah, almost. Yo, forget that job announcement should be coming out within the next 30 days. So yeah, don't mess around. Seriously. I mean, just throw your hat in the ring and see what happens, but within the next 30 days, it should be coming out.
Don't fuck about, people. Get this done. I'm DL Saint. That's Jay Swans over there, right? This is the DL Saint I Really Want to Know podcast. I hope that was helpful for somebody out there. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.
Yeah, I hate being serious, man. Let's go back to joking.